Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface and welcome to this Ferrari game that we're currently playing at the moment. We are currently top of the Constructors' Championship here with Ferrari 5 points clear of Red Bull. Let's get to the standings here so we can get some accurate. We're 17 points ahead of Mercedes at the moment, absolutely brilliant. And then there's quite a gap between the Force India, the Williams, the Toro Rosso. McLaren really struggling this year, as they did at the start of this season. Not picked up any points there. Alonso and Button doing terribly at the moment. We're getting a little bit behind on engines here, so we're gonna see if we can focus on building anything here. There's nothing here other than things that are risky, and there's nothing here as well apart from that one. So we would have to build this one to get access to this one to improve the engine. Do we actually have, what do we actually have? We actually have a test track, so we can actually build a bit better with the engine than that car. We can actually get a few different iterations done with different components in. So we're going to do the red zone -10. We are going to get a little bit of a slight boost from this, but then it won't give us access to this one, which will then give us access to the great components. So we're going to go ahead and build that. It's going to be ready in 13 days, so that's not even going to be ready. It's not even going to be ready to go in the car for Barcelona, is it? So there's not much other to do than that. We are still considering Kimi, obviously. We did have the scout reports in last time that we went through last time. Other than that, there's not much to go through. Obviously, last time we went through the little bug that we had with this slot 6 sponsor. There was a bigger sponsor from Jack and Jones available, but every time I clicked on accepting that one, it actually crashed the game. And if you look, Kimi is 15%. That's why we're considering getting rid of Kimi at the end of this season and not seeing his contract out, just so we can get, we will be level 5 sponsors. If we went for someone a bit higher up, obviously there's people like Max Verstappen that are 100%. Who else was it that we've looked at recently? Is Perez? Perez is pretty highly rated as well, although he's not got much chance to improve here. I don't know what sort of what his age is for his peak potential age. He's easy on fuel as well, so he would get a little bit more out of the fuel than what we get at the moment. We're waiting for Lance Stroll, Mick Schumacher's to come in, Fernando's to come in. So anyway, that's about all that we do have to go through here. So we can just jump ahead straight into practice here, which I'm going to run. Practice is quite long, so we're going to skip it. So not a bad practice session overall there. Vettel put a storming lap in at the end, although I guess the AI cars don't actually do any laps in practice, where they put everything to red to push and overtake mode. Possibly that's why we're so much quicker here with Vettel. But a pretty productive practice session overall. We got the setup where we wanted. Obviously it's going to be raining for qualifying and even wetter for the race, which we don't have any sort of intermediate tyre, as it didn't actually do that. It didn't actually rain during practice, so we're going to go for qualifying sweetie spots because we might not get to use the soft tyre trim. Obviously we're going to put the soft tyre trim in Kimi's car, just in case this rain is due to stop at some point. It does stop partway around, so maybe we're not going to set a time too early in the session here, as it's a really long qualifying session and we're only going to be doing 2 laps, because we don't have a lot of soft tyres here, because it is 26 laps is a race. And if we do look at the tyres, you can get 7, 8 and 11. So if we did want to stop the race, we'd have to go soft and then do 2 sessions on the hard, because there's no way doing a soft tyre session stint and then 2 medium stints. That would only get us to 23 laps. Of course, we've got to allow for intermediates and possibly wets during the race. So there's quite a lot of things to think about as we go through the race. We can't actually come up with a strategy before we actually start, because we're not going to be able to see what the weather's like towards the end of the race. But we're going to have to just leave it as that. We've got 98% on Kimi's car, got 96% there. It took us a while to get to a decent point here, but anyway, we're going to hit qualifying and come back when it's time for flying laps. So I forgot to turn the microphone back on when I actually recorded this the first time round for this first flying lap of qualifying, but we did pretty well on this first lap. Just yeah, I'll leave it from there, let the action speak for itself, and then we'll resume as normal from the next flying lap. Right, so we've got both cars coming round again now. For some reason, the AI's waited a hell of a long time to come back out here, so they're going to hit the rain right at the end of this session. We're possibly going to hit the rain as well, but it's really going to affect the times of these other cars. So it looks like we've got 1 and 2 sewn up here. Overall, Vettel's going a little bit quicker. Raikkonen's a little bit quicker than his time last time. Set a personal best, but is a little bit slower than what he did on the first lap in Sector 2. Can Raikkonen improve on that time? No. Almost the same. And Vettel actually improved a tiny bit there, but as we can see, Hamilton and Rosberg are now hitting this tiny little bit of rain as they come around to start their laps. So let's focus on Rosberg, who's on pole at the moment. Don't think he's going to actually be able to go any quicker because there's quite a bit of water getting on this track now. So if we look to see what he's like in the first sector, going slower here, that bodes well for us. So where's Hamilton? Is he going slower as well? By a lot there. The rain's really affected Hamilton as he's round a little bit later than Rosberg. So what's it going to be like after sector 2? 3 seconds down. So Sainz actually in one of the Toro Rossos just managed to get round on a little bit of dry track there. So we've got a Toro Rosso now which splits the Mercedes away from us. And Alonso as well here. He'd come out and do an intermediate time. He must have been a little bit smart. Was that his last lap that he did there? That he managed to do that? Maybe no, that must be a really early lap, this intermediate, but one of the McLaren's high up. So the order's pretty split up here, isn't it? So we've got a Toro Rosso separating us from the Mercedes, a McLaren and a Haas separating us from the Red Bulls. Yeah, so not a bad result there. The Williams all the way back down here in 14th and 15th as well, and the Force Indies as well. So I don't know what happened to their laps, whether they came out at a weird time and then were never able to improve upon that. And that's why they're so far down there. Yeah, so this bodes well for us for the race, but then again, it looks to be a tricky one. It looks like we're starting off in full wet weather here. Or we're going to be up to full wet weather after the first lap, so we're going to be coming out on full wet tyres here. So should we just take the soft tyre bonus just in case we do need to use it? Or would we be going on to hards at some point? Oh, I don't know which one we will be going on to. How far is it going to rain? It's going to stop after lap 6. And we could possibly get onto new tyres around lap 10, which is about the life. Which is about the life of the wet tyres, isn't it? Although it might be beneficial just to come in and pit for a set of intermediates when the rain stops. Sometimes it is beneficial to do that. I don't know if there's enough time to pick up. Yeah, so yeah, we'll do soft with that. We'll go hard with Kimi because Kimi, his tyres can't last as long as what Vettel can get out of a tyre. If we look here, Vettel can get like 7 to 9 laps out of a soft tyre, whereas Kimi can get 6 to 8, so he's a little bit more abrasive with his tyres. But we're going to be starting out on the wets anyway, 8 to 10 laps, so hopefully we can get to 8 laps. So that might be forced upon us that we're going to come in for, we're going to have really warm wets at some point, so we might swap to intermediates or swap straight onto the softs as this, because the wets are really poor on a track that's got not a lot of water on. They seem to run pretty poorly from my experience. Whether that's been changed in some of the patches and it's not going to work out for us this time, I don't know. But we're going to run in overtake mode from the start here. Obviously, from my calculations that I've done, running in high mode, we don't actually lose much fuel, like 0.02. Like over the full race, if we ran in high mode, we might lose 0.02 of our fuel tank over and above what we've got, if you know what I mean. We like use 1.001 of a lap's worth of fuel and so on and so forth. So we don't have any worries about fuel efficiency here. So it's just what sort of start we can get here. We can't actually see him here. And Raikkonen storms away there, and we've got, who's that on the outside? Is that Rosberg making a storming start, gets past Vettel. Vettel's got the inside there, but will be on the outside for the next couple. So Raikkonen stormed away there off the start. Vettel actually losing a few more places here. That's to Ricciardo in the Red Bull. So Sainz is dropping back there. So the order's sort of sorting itself out immediately here. But Vettel's made a drop back here. So it's going to be a few laps where we can get a little bit of life out of the intermediates, isn't there? So that's possibly 3 laps. Would we be able to make up the time in the pits? 18 seconds over the wets. I don't think. Depends what the AI is going to do to what we actually think about doing. Raikkonen's away here, storming through. But Rosberg's right on his tail here. So there, are we going to try? We only got to try and make this tyre go quite far here, haven't we? So we'll turn everything down. Whereas Rosberg's still pushing his engine. He's really going to try and get past Raikkonen here, isn't he? Yeah, wrong one. He's really going to try and get past Raikkonen. Whereas Vettel's trying to fight off Hamilton. Is Hamilton still pushing as well? Yeah, the Mercedes are still pushing their engines, trying to get back their position. So maybe just a little bit of management. We don't want to use up too much fuel here. That we have to run in medium and low to recover it all towards the end of the race. We'll try turn down for the corners. Run back in overtake mode for the straights with Raikkonen. Because Rosberg has set a fastest lap there. Whereas Vettel sets his personal best. He's locked up as well. He's lost a little bit of tyre there. And Hamilton's got in front of him. So Vettel not having the best of luck here. We've really got to try and make this tyre last. Not too far, because we're going to try come in for intermediates. Whereas the AI will possibly try stay out on wet. Or come in for a softer tyre. It looks like the Mercs are not getting past us, even though they're running overtake mode. So they're burning a lot of fuel here. Just try to keep up with Raikkonen. Whereas Vettel's sort of dropping back a little bit now, but we don't want to waste his fuel. We're just going to run our strategy with Vettel. And Raikkonen can pretty much stay ahead of Rosberg running in just push mode here. As you can see, he's not actually losing any fuel here. It's going to stick at this 0.35. It shouldn't change from this running high, so it would take 4 laps of running in medium to regain that fuel. Nico Hülkenberg has been given a drive-through penalty. It would take 4 laps of running in medium to recover that and a little bit more. Or we get 0.2 back running in low mode. It looks like the Mercedes have actually turned down now to try and recover some of their fuel. So maybe Vettel's starting to catch back up with this pack now of Hamilton and Ricciardo. Verstappen running 8th. We've got McLaren and Toro Rosso separating us from Verstappen there. So that's pretty good for us there. Yeah, so we are going to have to come in for intermediates out because it's going to really start raining again. But is it going to get as heavy? So intermediates is the tyre that we're going to have to come in for. Hopefully, yeah, we're going to have to make these last a little bit longer. Hopefully it works out for us because we're going to come in for inters possibly. Don't know how quickly that's moving. Is it just going to work out for us here? Whereas we've got Hülkenberg in the pits doing his drive-through and Gutierrez in a Haas must have been having to make some repairs there. Yeah, must have had either a front wing or a rear wing knocked off there. Raikkonen now, he's got about nearly 2 seconds over Rosberg at the moment, and we're hitting some back markers here. Can we get past? Is it going to hold us up? Vettel should get past there. So. Just hoping Raikkonen can hold off Rosberg here. Obviously their tyres are lasting a lot longer than ours, but we're almost on the part where we need to come in now for the intermediate for a little bit before we think about going back to wets, or is it going to be intermediate for the majority of the race here? Which would possibly mean that we need 3 stops out of this race. Is that a back marker? That's a back marker of that's Hülkenberg in the Force India, isn't it? London is up there. We must have been held up something shocking by Gutierrez in the Haas as Vettel's fallen behind quite a bit, and we've got a safety car leaving the garage. So should we take the opportunity now? Someone's crashed me. Yeah, we're gonna definitely take the opportunity to come in for intermediates. That came out just at the right time as our tyres were wearing away there. Obviously that means everyone else is going to be able to do the same thing. So we're coming straight in for inters. We're going to go for fast, see if we can pick up some, pick up a little bit of room for Vettel here. He's See if he can pick up any places during the pits. So we can possibly... shouldn't be able to overtake. We could possibly... we're going to be able to recover this fuel behind the safety car, aren't we? So who was it that crashed Nazar in one of the Saubers? So hopefully we can get back out in first here. Raikkonen's back out in first, it looks like. Can we get Vettel up? Vettel's going to come back out in 5th place. So we're pretty much where we were, but we need to keep these tyres up to temperature behind the safety car. We're possibly going to be behind the safety car for a little bit now, so we're going to come back once again when the race is about to pick up again, and we'll go from there. Right, so the safety car is about to go in. We're about to get going here. The track at the moment still suits wet conditions, so we might lose a couple of places here, but if you look, pretty suddenly, because the rain stopped, it's going to suit intermediates for quite a while after this. I don't think the rain's going to get really heavy towards the end of the race again. So even if we lose these places, we're going to be able to build up quite a bit of a gap here, as these cars are going to really struggle on the wets unless they make a pit stop pretty quickly. So we can just run in possibly medium. No, we're running high because we're not going to lose any fuel. We've got like the room to push here for 2 laps to run in overtake mode as it is, but we can run the tyres in medium here, so we should be able to get a good jump on all these cars. Not at the start here, because we're going to struggle for a tiny little bit on the intermediates, but pretty suddenly this track is going to turn in our favour. Are these going to start to pit straight away here? They're going to try jump into the pits, aren't they? Right, maybe that's what we should have done. Maybe that's what we should have done. It's whether they've got enough gap here to actually do that. But we're going to get a little bit of a gap here as they all dive into the pits. We should be able to get a nice little bit of gap here as they come back out pretty slowly. So we're ahead now. So what sort of a gap have we got? We got back into first. There's quite a bit of a gap there back to Rosberg, almost 10 seconds. So that pretty much worked out for us there. The AI tried to risk it, although they're going to try to start pushing now on their tyres. They're going to burn through that intermediate pair before they need to come back in, although that is going to happen again, isn't it? We are going to have to make 2 pit stops here, so we should possibly push these tyres just to try and keep this gap that we've got. Although Rosberg is possibly going to start fighting back pretty quickly. Because yeah, we're going to have to make 2 stops. It's going to favour wet tyres towards the end of the race. So we are going to have to get through these inters. When is it going to swap? Possibly about lap 21's possibly going to be ready for the wet tyre again. As we've got Raikkonen and Vettel battling away here. We're still staying ahead of Rosberg. Gaining a little bit again. Now we're keeping that a little bit of a distance now. So hopefully we can keep this up to the end of the race and get a 1-2 here from Raikkonen and Vettel. Hopefully they don't start hitting each other. We don't want them taking each other's front and rear wings off here, do we? That would be the most disastrous thing to happen out of all this. So what's everyone else doing with their tyre? Everyone else is... maybe we can try conserve them for a little bit. We don't want to pit too early and get stuck like in a bunch of cars and get slowed down by anyone. That would be the worst thing. Is that bit at the end of the race going to be suitable for a wet tyre? It should be. Should be. We can't quite see the last lap. It's gonna be close, isn't it, at the end of the race? Is it going to be suitable for a wet tyre? Rosberg is starting to gain a little bit now as we've turned the tyres down. Maybe we'll have to burn up our overtake mode here, just so we can get back in front again. We've lost a little bit of a gap there. Are we gaining it back? Are we gaining? No, Rosberg's still catching us here. Just shows the power of the Mercedes car that does have the potential to go really quick. Even though that we're running in overtake mode. Maybe we should try just open up this gap, so when we come in, because Raikkonen's going to have to pit this lap, I think. Otherwise his tyres are going to be in the danger zone after this one. So Raikkonen's going to make his pit for his second pair of inters here. Hopefully that should get him through to when we could possibly go back onto the wets. Raikkonen's diving in here. Mistake on the pit stop. Just what we didn't want. Hopefully Verstappen don't get around here. And we're behind Verstappen as well as we come back out. So we're going to run in overtake mode. We can do another lap in overtake mode and push these tyres for one more lap. Right, Vettel's going to have to pit this lap as well. The other cars should be coming in for theirs pretty soon as well. It's just whether we can keep up with them after they come in. Because these Mercedes are really, really quick. Right, so we're going back into high mode here. We'll just push the tyres. We won't go in overtake mode with Vettel. Quite a bit of distance on Raikkonen there. So Vettel managed to get ahead of Raikkonen. So is Rosberg. Are they thinking about pitting this lap, or are they going to try and go another lap here? It's like they're all going to try and go another. We're going to go back into high mode with Raikkonen. I wonder if that lap is going to suit a wet tyre. Just about around there. It's going to be start of lap 22 probably. Is that in the range? It looks like it's just about in the range for the wet tyre, doesn't it? So hopefully we can get through and then risk a wet tyre. Hopefully it's wet enough at that point. So Vettel, how far are we behind? 12 seconds, so that should be enough to get the lead back. Raikkonen's 21 might not be enough. Although we should be able to catch him here. We're going to be able to see. So should we go overtake here? As we know they're coming to the pits this lap. Vettel's easily going to get past them. Can we get Raikkonen past as well? Raikkonen, it's going to be close coming out of the pits. Just Raikkonen gets ahead of Rosberg again there. So everyone's going to possibly have to pit again. And Raikkonen's locked up trying to get past there as well. Right, so we need to go about another 3 laps. So we've got a lot of tyre left here for Vettel. Vettel possibly could get to the end of the race on this tyre. Should we risk? Should we risk it? Try and conserve this tyre of Vettel's. See if we can get him to the end without stopping. Then respond if any of these other cars decide to go into the pits for a wet tyre. Whereas Raikkonen does have to change. Hopefully we can get him through to when it needs to be wet tyre on the car. And then we can sort of experiment with Raikkonen, see if he's going any quicker than the other cars around him. To whether we need to pit Vettel or not. So we do need to think about recovering some fuel now with Vettel, since he's out in front. We will have to run in medium for a lap to recover that fuel. Enough to get across the line, but we're doing pretty well at the moment. We're doing pretty well here. Vettel's got a massive lead at the moment. So it's a lap after this one where it looks like it could be ready for wets. Because the rain has started to get even heavier now. Hopefully Raikkonen can stay ahead of Rosberg here. We don't want him pulling away before we make that pit stop. We want to just hold him up here, which should give Vettel enough chance to pull out a little bit of an extra lead here. So let's just see what this says here, because the rain the track's gonna get a little bit wetter from this point forward. So should we actually risk it? Should we risk it and go wet tyre? From about 75% wetness, which it looks like it's just about going to be, doesn't it? It's sort of a risk. Is it actually going to be quicker, the wet tyre, from this point? Let's try. Just see here. Vettel should just be able to get through to the end of the race here. So what sort of lap times can Raikkonen get on this tyre? Actually zooming past a few, and that was a back marker, that's why. We have enough to actually just rag this tyre, just wear it out. So we need to see what sort of lap times we can get from Raikkonen on this wet tyre. I don't think anyone else is thinking about pitting, as it's too close for the end of the race for him to risk it, whereas we had to do it with Raikkonen. It does look like we're lapping a lot quicker. We're lapping a lot quicker, aren't we? We're lapping a hell of a lot quicker on the wet tyre. Although Vettel doesn't need to risk it, although his tyre's going to run out, so whether Rosberg can recover this 11-second gap, I wouldn't know. So should we actually risk it with Vettel as well? Got 3 laps after this and we're going to have pretty worn tyres. It's a hard one because we'll risk it, It does suit the wet tyre a lot more, doesn't it? And should have enough distance to just get back out behind them. Should just have enough distance. Because the wet tyre is really, really quick compared to the intermediate tyre. In that Raikkonen's almost managed to catch up here. So it's whether we can actually catch these Mercedes here. Should be able to do it before the end of the race because we're picking up a lot of time here. Yeah, I think that was definitely the right decision. We're going to blow past Hamilton here at some point, and then it's not far to Rosberg's car either. Definitely the right decision there. We're going to actually blow Rosberg out of the water here. Why they decided not to pit for the wet tyre, I don't know. It looks like Raikkonen's going to fight back as well and get past Rosberg as well. Can Raikkonen manage it easily so we can turn down here both cars if we need to? But we might as well just keep pushing here, or maybe we don't want to push just in case they actually decide to plough the car into one of the barricades. We've got no need to push either of these cars now. So that should be that pretty much confirmed now, coming through to the final lap. We're going to be able to open up another big gap again. Vettel's got that gap back and more, so definitely the right decision there to come in for the wets. So at least that gives me the idea of knowing where the wet tyre has its most effectiveness over the intermediates as well. So we're going to flip back to Vettel here, coming across the line. Vettel comes across the line for the win. Raikkonen comes across in second place. We opened up a gap of 11 seconds there over Rosberg, and Hamilton has dropped way off there. He had to pit as well for some fresh intermediates. Why he didn't go on the wet tyre, I don't know either. Strange. Mercedes dropped more points there. We pick up more points. We extend our lead at the top of the table. This is actually possibly going to be a lot easier than I thought it was to keep up with the Mercedes here. Even before the sort of strategy coming for the wet was in effectiveness, we were on a good run anyway, finishing first and fourth. This obviously helped us get into first and second with Raikkonen there, managing to get past the Mercedes right at the end. So another brilliant race there. First and second, I'm pretty happy with that. In fact, I'm ecstatic with that. We're just waiting for a couple of cars to finish now, so let's have a look here. Let's have a look. We did 3 stops. Everyone seemed to do 3. Hamilton had to do 4. These all really did short stops and a couple of wets when they should have come in for intermediates possibly. That was behind the safety car. Life timings, we did a 1:28, so Vettel a lot quicker than Raikkonen at one point. So did Vettel actually... yeah, I think. Did Vettel have the fastest lap during the race? He did, so we were actually the quickest during the race as well. So absolutely excellent there from both drivers. We don't have any problems with this, we never build any risky parts. So first and second there. Started in first, started in second, kept those places for the end of the race. That should now put Vettel comfortably on top of the drivers standings ahead of Ricciardo. Raikkonen in third. Raikkonen in third. Ricciardo's splitting us at the top of the table, and then we're followed up by the Mercedes here, who are starting to lag behind already. Mercedes 37 points behind us. We've now crossed the 100-point mark. So absolutely brilliant there. So everyone is still ecstatic. We came first, so the chairman is getting a little bit happier with us now. We're now up to 85%, so we're getting there. 1.2 into the bank, which should pay for the other new engine that we're going to be building. Although this one's not going to be ready before Barcelona coming up. So absolutely brilliant there. So we're waiting for, we should have some more scout. No, just a scout report on Fernando's going to be ready. So there shouldn't be too much to do before the next race. Vettel top with Hamilton, Vettel pips Raikkonen into pole, car condition. The gearbox on, we can't actually look at it now. The gearbox on Raikkonen's car actually got pretty close there towards the end. So we're making one of the later pit stops. I noticed it was about 37%. So we might have to look at the reliability for that. That was a great win for Sebastian Vettel, yes. Great win. Kimi told us absolutely delighted with second. Solid result. Right, so let's just get to the car repair. We've got Jean-Eric's birthday. Cycle race coming up for Kimi. Marketability +5 won't make any difference. We might as well throw him a party. We've got plenty of money. It's not going to affect anything overall with him being a reserve driver. Right, let's just get his car repaired here. What's Kimi's gearbox like? 'Cause it did drop down to 84%, so that's possibly something we can actually work on, because we took it out to work on all these new parts that we try to get ready for the car. If we do work on the gearbox a little bit, yeah, everything should be ready to go then by the next race. Thoughts on potential removal of Monza? I don't think we don't want the we don't want Monza going, do we? No way. I for one love the race in Monza. I hope it stays. Really, some experts such as David Coulthard are very much in favour of introducing the change. No. That idiot doesn't know what he's talking about. Yes, Coulthard, take that. Get back to Channel 4 highlights. Right, so just waiting for this report on Alonso. Alonso should have 4.5. He's pretty old. It's about the same age as Kimi, but he's better. His marketability stats are not that high. Plus, it would take a hell of a lot to get him out of this contract, so we're possibly not going to be reuniting Ferrari and Alonso here. Don't think we've got all else coming up. Oh, the vote for Monza's actually coming up. Right, so we're going to have a look at that, aren't we? I don't actually want it to take out Monza here. I don't know where it is in the order in this, because some of them are messed up. We don't want to get rid of the Italian Grand Prix, do we? Definitely not. What other votes have we got coming up as well? Short qualifying sessions, down to 12 minutes. It's not really going to affect anything, because everyone just does 2 laps anyway. Pre-distributed tyre compounds and spec front wings. Possibly going to abstain from everything else. We're going to vote against getting rid of Monza. This rule will not benefit teams that are likely to perform well at Monza. This rule will benefit teams likely to struggle at Monza. Obviously Mercedes are going to struggle, so obviously it's in our interest to vote against the removal of Monza here. So, yeah, we're keeping Monza next season. Bernie Eccleston. Yeah, so next time it's going to be on short qualifying sessions. So that's it for this episode, it looks like. We've just got the engine built. It's possibly not going to be much better, is it? So we're going to go ahead and just build the next one, because that's the one that would possibly, well, not possibly, this is going to be the one that we're going to be using going forward. Not till 17 days after the race, so it's not even going to be ready for Sochi either. So we're going to build it anyway. We should have the new engines ready for Hockenheim for Vettel's home Grand Prix. Does he? No, he doesn't have any boost for racing at home. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this episode. We're going to be back next time for Barcelona, which should be a good race. It's going to be a dry race this time. It's 20 laps, so maybe it's going to be hard to do a one-stop strategy there. So maybe we're going to have to do soft, medium, soft, something like that. But we'll think about that next time. But anyway, that's it for episode 3 of this Ferrari mode of Motorsport Manager. We're doing a lot better than I expected, a hell of a lot better than what I expected. I was expecting the Mercedes cars to be a lot stronger. They're so far struggling, in fact, that I don't think they've won a race so far. We've won 2, Red Bull have won 1. So Mercedes quite far behind here. But anyway, if you're not already subscribed and would like to do so, hit that subscribe button down below and you will be notified of when I update this series and my Predator series as well. If you watch that, leave a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. But until next time when we come back for the Spanish Grand Prix, I will see you down the road in Barcelona, and goodbye.